So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my trip. But what I really want to get across is how we resonate. Resonance is what makes us want to sing along if we know. Resonance is what makes us jump to our feet and our bodies resonate when we hear certain music. But music isn't the only thing we resonate with. I have resonated with The Wizard of Oz since I was this big. It used to come on in December, and I remember my family decorating our Christmas tree while we watched The Wizard of Oz on TV. Now, Phil keeps saying, I don't get it. It's not a Christmas movie. Why does it come? I don't know. Maybe that was the time it came out many years ago, and so it seems to be one of the rituals that people resonate with. It was awesome. The sphere is awesome. The Wizard of Oz's face was way up there. It was experiential. When the tornado came, there were paper stuff flying everywhere. And when the angry apple tree shook, apples fell down out of the sky, little foam apples. You know, I didn't get one of those. I didn't realize that was happening until they'd all been scarfed up. But anyway, The Wizard of Oz was awesome. I highly recommend it. Other things that I recommend if you choose to go to Las Vegas. The Mob Museum. Very enlightening. And Phil grew up in Kansas City, and he used to tell me, yeah, I hung out with the mob. And I'm looking at him thinking, are you in witness protection? You know? There was some history about Kansas City and naming the people. And he said, right there, that was my neighbor. That was my neighbor. And he said the Italian mafia had a whole bunch of houses all in a circle with a big swimming pool in the middle, and he would play with their kids in the swimming pool. And he said there was an underground tunnel that connected all of the houses, too. So, yeah, the Mob Museum was quite enlightening on many levels. You even can go down into the distillery and see how they made bootleg moonshine. And I confessed, I brought 2 little bottles back. 2 little bottles that were sitting there. Something else that we discovered the last day we were there. And it's called the Interstellar Arc. And it's only been there 2 months. And it's in Area 51. Area 51. What this is a virtual reality experience. You go in, you sit down, you check in, and then they give you this helmet with a VR mask. And we befriended this little virtual fox, which was our guide. And so when the fox started moving, you followed the fox. And what happened virtually is we boarded a shuttle, went through space, and docked on a spaceship. Docked on and then inside we were in a spaceship. Looking, it was just awesome. Spaceship goes through space, and then we get to walk outside. And at one point I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And Phil did coach me. He said, you can always lift it up and see where you really are. So I did that a time or two. The thing, it was awesome. I said, this is what it must feel like to be an astronaut, a real astronaut, because you could look back and see the planets, and everybody looked like a space explorer. We all had on space gear virtually. So the thing that fascinated me the most is on this arm right here, I had a virtual camera. So I got to take up to 30 photographs. So I could point to something that I thought was just unbelievable and go hit that virtual thing and a screen would come up. I could adjust, hit the button, take the pictures. And when the whole experience was over with, I downloaded them. So I can show you what I saw through the virtual reality. And I kept thinking, this is so much like life. So here we are, and some people believe this is a holodeck, and it could very well be. With our thoughts, we shape our experience, and we draw to us according to our energy. We are energy beings. We may look solid, but we're not. We are not. So I want to thank Reverend Bill for speaking last Sunday. That tells me it was good. They like you. But prior to that, I talked about the wisdom of duality. And you remember the picture of the beauty and the hag, those of you who were there? And that wisdom, which stands for within self, divine order manifest. That's an acronym for wisdom. Within self, divine order manifest. It's not out there. It's in here. So we wonder about divine order. It sure doesn't feel like divine order to me. And that's because we're not in our right and perfect place, which is the center. The beauty of the wisdom of the beauty and the hag is anytime we get polarized in our opinions, it's plain as the nose on your face. Well, that nose looks different to me than it does to you. And when we can see the same point of view from a higher perspective of the same thing, different points of view, that's wisdom. Because there is no spot where God is not. God is in all of it. So the next wisdom I want to share with you is the wisdom of resonance. Resonance means resounding. Resounding. The wisdom of duality is about the mind and perceiving. The wisdom of resonance is about the heart and resounding. So, the resonance, it's like this. I remember when I lived in Hawaii, in Kailua Kona on the Big Island, and this was 25, 30 years ago, when it was a quiet little village. It's not like that now. I was there in 2017. It's really changed. Nonetheless, I would sit on the seawall and have my lunch, and I could see the little yellow fish swimming around, and occasionally I would feed the eels. And it was so serene until a car came by the town with its boombox. Boom, bada, boom, bada, boom, bada, boom. My chest would resonate. And that became such a problem. They passed an ordinance in the town that said you can only have a certain amount of decibels if on your radio when you come through that. That's what I think about when I think about resonating. Just like the polarity of perception, resonance is a manifestation of the same principle. So I have something here. I have several of these, but this is the prettiest one. Many of you may use this. The pendulum. It's a divination tool. But you'll notice I'm not doing that. I'm trying to hold my hand as steady as possible. But it swings right and left, positive and negative, positive and negative. But this is how I know thoughts impact. I can just think circle, and it will start doing a circle. And I am not doing anything. So, in our lives, think of a merry-go-round too. That helps. in our lives, we have experiences that we like and experiences that we don't like. And we spend our God-given energy trying to stay over here, just stay over here, but there's no way we can stay in one spot. And that's because everything is in motion, continual motion. There's really no such thing as static equilibrium. There isn't. Even on a subatomic level, there is a resonance going on. So, the trick is, or the mastery is, as this thing goes in a circle, what do we identify ourselves with? The little ball down here, let's say, is going around and around and around our energy. And if we identify with the periphery, we're going to have back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, positive, negative. When we're in the positive, we want to stave off the negative. And when we're in the negative, we're wondering if the positive will ever come. Divine order says it's all good, but it doesn't feel good, Rev Donna. I know that. I know that. When we're in pain, to say that I'm not in pain is psychological denial. Spiritual denial is, I am having an experience of pain, but I am not that pain. I am the divine presence having a human experience, and this too shall pass. What does not pass is the spiritual presence. St. Teresa of Avila, all things are changing. God never moves. God never moves. So, if we identify ourselves as the center of a circle, the center, we can be relatively stable. So, thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Just a song in our hymnal. It comes from Scripture. So, I want to share this with you. When somebody is speaking the truth, I don't care if you're low down scum of the earth, bless his heart, if you I don't care if you're the most ethically vile human being on the face of the earth. When somebody enters your energetic presence who is emanating spiritual truth, who is emanating that strength, all that is within you that is spiritual will resonate. Just because it's covered over with miles and miles of mud doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's there. And on some level, we will know. We will know it. And I've experienced this walking into a house, the energy field that was left there. I have experienced it when I've come into the presence of people that were very enlightened. You can tell it because your own spiritual child leaps for joy in your body womb. Okay? All right. So, we all resonate with truth. Let me see, where am I going next? Oh, I know. It is only the ego that can have a human experience, all right? The spiritual part of us equips the ego. The ego is in perfect peace, not the ego. The spiritual part of us is in perfect peace. It doesn't need a human experience. It is only our ego. And without our ego, we wouldn't be here in this dimension. So an ego is not bad, but an ego is servant to the spiritual presence. The Christ within is how Unity says it, but there are many names for this. Once we realize that everything's always changing, we can give up trying to control, because that's an illusion. We can also give up trying to fix everything and everybody. Ooh, happy day. When I don't have to fix stuff, you know? We can just enter into that space of serenity, which some people call surrender into it. Because life is not about success, what I term success in the outer. It's about acceptance of what is. Acceptance. And realizing when we say, well, God's in charge, guess what? God is in charge. Really, truthfully, all of this back and forthing is in God's hands. I'm going to give it to God. Perfect song. So, how do we do that? Because there are some things which tick us off. We get triggered. There's lots of stuff in our lives that we wish we didn't have to experience. But I will say this. Every experience we have comes to teach us something. Because God is in all of it. So I might as well just let go and trust that this is my path. This is my experience. And I need to remind myself of that. And I do that through prayer and meditation and being still. Peace, be still, and know that I am God. So, from the center, I can choose what I want to resonate with. It's been said you've got 3 choices, yes, no, and I gotta go. And I can remove myself from anything that doesn't resonate with my true heart. This takes commitment. Following a spiritual path takes commitment. Because we'll set our intention, we'll choose this day what and who we're going to serve, and we'll get pulled by the pendulum, one side or the other. Stay the path. There is power in setting an intention. There is power in reaffirming what it is you want to experience in this life. Do you want to be empowered by anger? Do you want to get a bunch of wolves around you and attack? No, I don't. What do you want? And stay the course. Stay the course. There is a line in the big book for Alcoholics Anonymous. And it says, half measures availed us nothing. If we're halfway committed to a spiritual path, we're going to be going ding, 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 back and forth. Back and forth. But to be committed to it means to choose to stay in the center. Realizing that you will be pushed off or pulled off. Be aware of it and come back. We do have a choice with what we want to resound. Resound. Wisdom. Wisdom. Within self, divine order prevails. It's not going to be on the periphery. It's going to be right here. That's it.